G'day everyone and welcome to another edition of the Fishing World Tackle Bench. I'm Zach Panarados and we try and guide you guys on some really good quality gear that can help you when you're making your next purchases. Today we're going to check out some gear from Nomad. I've got some Braid, the new range of jigs that have been beefed up. They've got new BKK hooks and some extra spice in the colour range, and also some of the tools that are pretty handy. Anyways, I really want to tap into these jigs as probably our priority. The BKK hooks, so they're a new addition. The size of the hook obviously changes with the size of the lure. They've gone from having now got lures that go from 40 grams all up to 420 grams. So it's a huge range of species and depths that you can target. So that's a great addition. But these are great out of the packet, which is a really important thing, especially when the price range is around that $20 mark. That's a really affordable, good quality lure. They've already got a good reputation and now they've just gotten even better, which is something to look out for. So in the colours, they've got this the mackerel pattern that's glow in the dark, and it's kind of ribbed across there. The glow in the dark coloration is really caked on there well, and solid paint job, so that doesn't just flake off. And it's quite striking how contrasting it is when you turn the lights off. That glows significantly. There's also a UV fleck which is individualized across all the new colors, so when you get into closer inspection you can see there's quite a bit of detail. This one here is I think it's called the black pink mackerel, and I tend to use this lure when it's a bit more murky or deep conditions. Yeah, the darkness gets that, you know, you get the silhouette, and that is what is appealing. Whereas something like this, which is the fusy glow, that's probably my favourite colour, and I'd go to this if the conditions were clear, and I'd probably start with this regardless, because I think just about anything in the water is going to eat something that looks so good, not just where there's fusiliers, but anywhere. That's just a great colour if you ask me. Another option would be to go something that's sort of shocking and very vivid. This is entirely glow in the dark, but obviously that bright yellow is striking, so that can also make a big influence, but I prefer that natural coloration where I can. There's 4 different types of lures in the range, and I guess depending on the type of fish you try to target, the type of angler you are, experience, inexperience, that's what you're going to choose for. So let's start with the demersal options. You've got the buffalo and you've got the gypsy. Gypsy is probably a more traditional style teardrop lure. It sinks vertically. You'll probably, demersal species are the bottom dwellers, so maybe like nanny guy, red emperor, cold trout up north, but then you got your pearlies and snapper and stuff like that, dewies down south. These things, you're working, say if you're in 40 metres, you're working that 5 to 10 metres at bottom, so it's just really elongated lifts of your rod tip, and you're going to get 4 or 5 pumps and then just send it back down. It drops pretty slowly, and yeah, you get the bite, not too big of a pause in between, but you can pause then lift. That will flutter down nicely. This is very different, and they might look pretty similar, but the center weight here means that it'll actually sink sort of like a leaf falling out of a tree. The fluttering pattern, it's a slower sinking lure, so you can actually leave this in the rod holder. I find that's good enough to get a bite. Again, if I was going to go between the two, and if I was a bit more experienced, I might be more likely to go here. Lacking a bit of experience, this one might be a bit easier to get a bite. And you can also do your big lifts, but then really pause, 30 seconds, and that can be the time when you actually strike up. Sometimes being on the boat, even going up and over the waves, is enough to get this moving and get that bite going. So that's the difference between those two. My favourite style of jig is the fast pitch jigs. They're the slow pitch jigs. Fast pitch jigs, some people hate them because they're quite tiring, but all that action comes from the energy from the angler. So it's a bit of coordination involved. You're basically doing one lift of your rod tip and one wind of your reel. So once you get the rhythm, you're just trying to get that lure up as fast as possible and create the action, and that's for your more pelagic species, cobia, kingies. They love that intensity. So yeah, that's a really good fun lure to use. And then of course, wouldn't be Nomad without something a bit left of field that eventually probably comes mainstream. This is a hybrid, so it's slow and fast pitch depending on how you work it. Yeah, it's got some leaf flutter sort of action on the fall, and it can be fished for demersals with those nice long slow gentle lifts. But also, even if you just left this in the rod holder and cranked it at speed without that rod action, this bib here creates erratic action as it moves up through the water column. So yeah, in itself, this is a great lure for an inexperienced angler or someone that maybe doesn't want to have to purchase 2 or 3 different lures when they can get one that does the same job. So give them a whirl, see which one works for you, and then sort of, yeah, understand the range. But that's my 2 bob anyways. Yeah, braid. So we got Ammonite and the Pandera. These are both 8-weave braids. This is a versatile braid, slightly more abrasive resistant. So it's going to be good casting into snags, jigging, top water, plastics fishing. This is something that you're going to put on that outfit that does a bit of everything. So you go on that one all day. And then you got the Ammonite, which is a specific jigging braid. So basically the main difference is that every inch this one has 36 weaves, which is super tight. I think this one might have about 8 weaves in that space of an inch, and that just means that the diameter of this puppy is super thin. So when you send your vertical jig or whatever jig down, it's got less resistance coming through the water column, so it can get down faster. So when you see those fish on the sounder, you can bomb straight away, and also helps to keep your jig vertical. It won't have as much surface area open to current, which can push your lure off in a drift, which can be super frustrating as well. Lastly, we have, yeah, the tools from Nomad. They've got a great reputation. They work really well. There's a huge range, and yeah, they're also worth a look to fill out your toolbox. Anyways, I hope this bit of information helps guide you guys with some of your purchases. But like I said, all this gear is high quality. I really like the value for money in the jigs. That's probably where it gets you. But yeah, anyways, have a cracker.